Yeah, I think the commentary is always going to be what it is. You know, most of the time, the talking heads on the major platforms, I I couldn't care less, honestly. Like, what do they really know about basketball? It doesn't matter. You know, we're here in the NBA Finals, 2 wins away from an NBA championship.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back here to my channel, Just Simply Sports with me. I am Kaja. If you're new to my channel, I welcome you. Please hit the like and subscribe button for me. And if you're not new, you've been here, I appreciate you. We're going to just get right into it, okay? Because you just saw a clip from Tyrese Haliburton expressing a little bit of frustration for the critics and the media who have had a lot to say about his game or lack thereof, from their perspective. And Stephen A. Smith naturally responded on First Take this morning. It's so crazy that they won the game. They're up 2-1 when everyone's pretty much, except for me, has been expecting OKC to just dominate the Pacers and just run all over them because they've been running roughshod through the West. And the Pacers, apparently got here on some fluke because they played all these injured teams. They just kind of got here on a whim, on a prayer of hope, so to speak. And they're just floating by on, I don't know, mere Tyrese magic, so to speak. And it really bothers me that the topic of conversation is not about what the Pacers did right, but the topic of conversation is Tyrese Haliburton calls out critics. Anyway, here's what Stephen A. Smith had to say, and then we'll get right back into it.
First of all, the media includes folks who played. Charles Barkley played. Kenny Smith played. Shaq played. Kendrick Perkins played. But here's my problem. It's the sensitivity, Magic. We're talking about a Tyrese Haliburton. You're averaging 20.8 points a game on 48% shooting in wins. You're averaging 12.6 points on 43% shooting in losses. So the subject has been about whether or not he's a superstar and all of this other stuff, which I don't believe he is. When I talk about superstar status, we're talking about guys at the box office, all this stuff. That's true too. But my definition of it is a number one option who is game planned against by the opposition every single night.
That's right.
And far more often than not, answers the call in terms of whatever their responsibility is. And when you look at the LeBrons, the Stephs, and others, KDs and others, who have had that onus placed on their shoulders, the reason why we labeled them in such high regard is because their track record has proven they answer the call on a night in, night out basis better than 90% of the time.
Let's just start by saying I do not think that Tyrese Haliburton was referring to former NBA players who are now analysts, because obviously they know what it's like to be in the NBA. Some of them still currently play in the NBA. They're just doing this in between the meantime, during the off season and then getting ready for the up and coming season, right? So I highly doubt he was referring to his fellow, NBA players, former and obviously, of course, current. That's the first thing. Number two, he never put an actual name on it. The media is a lot of people, but Stephen A. is going to speak up. They say a hit dog will holler, and perhaps maybe he was talking about Stephen A. Smith. Every time Tyrese Haliburton has a great game, it's like it kind of just flies under the radar. Like we speak about it. Jay Will has spoken out highly about Tyrese Haliburton, how he feels he's a superstar. He's like one of the rare people I think I've heard really speak in a positive light about Tyrese Haliburton. More times than not, when I hear, even if he has a good game, it's like, oh, he had triple-double, but will he do it again the next game? He's inconsistent. One game he's this, one game he's that. So much of the conversation is always so negative, and it does get to a certain point where it's like, it is annoying. I'm pretty sure that's probably why he came across the way he did, because I'm annoyed. Why are the topical shows not leading with what the Pacers did, how they shut them down? We always talk about SGA. I always say he's a model of consistency. But he was not consistent in Game 3. He struggled. Nembhard has been on his ass. He has been on his ass, okay? Like a fresh pair of church socks, as Kendrick Perkins always likes to say, right? Which I find hilarious, by the way. But he has done such a great job. I believe SGA is 7 of 20 when Nembhard is a primary, defensive player, guarding him in the games. He struggled. SGA was tired in Game 3. I've never seen him look like that in the previous series. So coming into the series, the conversation was, oh, the Pacers, look, they're not going to stop the Thunder. Okay, the Thunder are by far are the best team, and if they know they only got here because this person was hurt, that person was hurt, and the coaching over here or this over there, you know what I mean? But the fact is that they're here. Can we also act like we remember that they were also in the Eastern Conference Finals against the, still current reigning champs, Boston Celtics last season? They got even further than the Thunder did last season because the Thunder were out in the semis, okay? Mavericks sent them home, and then it was Mavericks obviously versus Wolves. But the Pacers were facing the Celtics. Even though they lost in those games, let's go back and remember, okay? Those games were still very much close. The difference between that season and this season is that the Pacers last season were a high offensive scoring team. The Pacers always been there. They're going to be a track team. They're going to run you up and down the court. They're going to shoot a lot of shots at a high volume, but they didn't really play defense. Between last season and this season, they have focused a lot on their defense, and their defense has been up there just as much as their offense. I think their defense has gone underrated because OKC, is a little bit better in terms of the defense, right? But they have gotten a lot better. They wouldn't be here again and have gotten to the actual NBA Finals if there hadn't been some sort of progress and growth. Tyrese Haliburton came through, shut things down. He has been so consistent in big moments. And I heard Stephen A. speak about what he thinks a superstar is. It's who the team game plans against, right? They are definitely game planning for Tyrese Haliburton. That much I can guarantee you. That much I can guarantee you. When they're there in the room and and going over film, talking to the coaching staff, talking to the team, I can guarantee you they're talking about making sure that Tyrese Haliburton does not score and he's more lethal when it comes to facilitating. We got one of those off. I think they're going to probably choose the facilitating because when he's involved, he gets everybody else involved, and the team goes from here all the way up there, right? They very much kind of go as he goes. Now, in one breath, they're going to say that he's not a superstar because they're not, I guess, game planning for him similarly with SGA supposedly. But he's not consistent enough during the regular season. But then someone like James Harden, they're always condemning him because he shows up in the regular season, but in the postseason, specifically in Game 7s, he's a no-show. Which one is it? Because you spend the whole season to get to the postseason so that you can win a championship. So the way the Pacers are set up, Tyrese Haliburton does not have to be SGA, so to speak. It doesn't need to be Steph Curry or LeBron because there are so many very talented players on that roster. And although he is the face of that franchise, and I do believe he is on his way to superstardom, it really seems like we kind of pick and choose where we want to give somebody credit and where we don't want to give them credit at the same time. It's like, how come we can't just congratulate Tyrese Haliburton for being the phenomenal clutch player that he is? He has come up in big moments. Are you your best when your best is needed? That's the way I look at someone who's on the way to be a superstar or is currently a superstar. Are you your best when your best is needed? Do you make others around you better? He has been just that. Are you accountable? He has been just that. In moments where he didn't show up or games where he didn't show up, the next game he comes back, he shows up even bigger and better. That to me has all the makings of a superstar. Now he may have an awkward jump shot. It may not be as fluid or as pretty as Steph, jumping, knocking down threes from 94 feet it seems, or, the bleachers, so to speak. But so what? Do we have to have this one, I don't know, mold of what a superstar is supposed to look like? SGA had a very tough game 3. The fourth quarter specifically, I think he only put up, one shot? Didn't really score any points or 1 or 2 points. I'm not sure the exact stat, but the point is that he struggled. Okay, you can correct me in the comments with the exact stats if you know. I'm fine with it. But I didn't hear anything about that at all. It's like it just kind of scapegoated. And as opposed to giving Nembhard the credit for the defensive job that he's been doing on him, right? As opposed to highlighting that, as opposed to highlighting Tyrese Haliburton and him being 1 rebound away from another triple-double in the NBA Finals. When this is his first time here. This is both of their times first here. SGA and Tyrese Haliburton. And I know Tyrese Haliburton's not the MVP, so I understand that they're going to highlight SGA, and rightfully deservedly so because he's the MVP. But does it have to always be done in a way where we discredit one to uplift the other? What about the marketing behind it? I want to see, this has been such a great finals. I said I was so excited to see some of these smaller market teams get the shine that they deserve, because more times than not, we don't really talk about Indiana. We talk about OKC. We do more so now because they have SGA. But typically, we speak about Luka and LeBron. How is Luka going to look this season? What's going to happen with him and LeBron? Steph, obviously, of course, teaming up with Steph, and I love me some Steph and Jimmy, so I'm not even mad at that one. I'm not going to lie to you. But we speak so much about certain players all the time. So much of the conversation is about the same teams, the same few players, and there's so many conversations to go around. And I think the media, Stephen A. Smith, is missing the fact that after a while, it gets to be a bit annoying and bothersome. When someone or some people like play good, let's just focus on giving that team the credit they deserve. The Pacers are playing good, but it's like, well, it's Rick Carlisle and his championship pedigree. And I'm not saying that coach has something to do with it. It absolutely does. But he's not on the court playing. So give the Pacers some credit. Let's just highlight how good the Pacers have been, how surprisingly good, not to me, but for a lot of people who I guess obviously haven't been watching basketball, seem to be surprised about how good they're doing. I said Pacers in 6, and I'm still sticking to it. I fully have confidence the Pacers are going to win this series for so many reasons, okay? But every time we speak about them, it's almost like undercutting them. The Pacers, yeah, they were good, but in game 1, it took, the Thunder to have all these mistakes, which is why the Pacers won. Now, there has to be a certain amount of luck. Obviously, I will give you that. I'll concede that. But the Pacers earned that win. You have Benedict Mathurin, who comes in, who hasn't, I think he only started 16 games this season, who's been phenomenal. Not every single game he's knocking out 30 points, but when his number's called, he has showed up. Ben Shepherd is another one who hasn't really played as much this season, but when his number is called, he has showed up. TJ McConnell, I love TJ McConnell, you guys. He is such a treasure to have on that team. They have so many talented players, and as opposed to highlighting each player on these big platforms like First Take and Get Up, we keep spending so much time about what someone did wrong and is he a superstar, is he not a superstar? Who freaking cares? He's playing like one. That's all that matters. He's in the NBA Finals. That should be all that matters. He's up 2-1. Pacers the team, that is. That's all that should matter. Can we just stop with the whole, is he going to show up, is he not going to show up? It's so freaking negative. Let's just highlight these players, what they're doing, how one of them is going to obviously win, and how it's going to change that person and that team's, course. Do we have any new dynasties? Also, something I thought about. Isn't it interesting that so much of the three-point shooting has been the focus of the NBA, where we have 2 teams in the finals who don't really focus primarily on three-point shooting? They can shoot three-pointers, but they also defend at a high level. They also don't depend on just one person to get them to the promised land, so to speak. And they also can pull up and shoot from the mid-range as well. Isn't that refreshing how things are kind of turning? Should more teams kind of pull away from the three-point shooting and kind of work more into having the mid-range? Should we also pull away from having the big threes or the big twos and just focus on having a core team of just really, really talented players and a really, really good bench? It's so much that could be spoken about, is my point, as opposed to just highlighting how great SG is, how up and down Tyrese Haliburton isn't or is, and how he is a superstar or he's not. I find the whole thing frustrating, you guys, but I'm done. I had to get that off my chest. I wanted to share that with you. What do you guys think, though, about the whole media and how they cover the Pacers, how they cover the NBA in general? Do you agree with it, or do you have a problem with it like me? I look forward to reading your comments, and of course, I will see you in the next video. Pacers up. Peace out, you guys.